All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with Matt LaMarca as we do a little NBA live before slate than usual. 4 games going off at 6 o'clock, 1 at 8 o'clock. FanDuel out on their own. They started one of their main slates at 5. They're starting a second one now. Their actual main slate, smaller than the slate they have going on now. FanDuel got a FanDuel. Always a good time. Matt, how have you been?
I'm good. I didn't have the greatest start to my week from a gambling perspective, but picked up some wins here in the 1 o'clock slate. So I'm feeling optimistic now.
Very nice. Very nice. I had a nice little day with some parlays yesterday. That was good. Even hit on a same game parlay with Jakob Poeltl. In 10 minutes, he got both the rebounds and the points I needed from him. So
jeez,
I didn't even go back and look until I'm like, oh my God, I just need two. I forget if it was Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell. I need one of them to hit 2 3-pointers. And then they did with 3 minutes left, back-to-back possessions. So I'm like, I won a ridiculous same game parlay. It's always fun when you get one of those. Now I can go another 20 or 30 games without winning one of those. So it's a nice way to go. All right, Squatch, we didn't leave you FanDuel peeps hanging. There's a second main slate starting at 6 o'clock on FanDuel that had larger contests than the 5 o'clock slate. So go down and click that slider. You can have a little fun with that. We, of course, are brought to you by No House Advantage. They're also going to bring to you NFL Live Before Lock at 7:15 with Eric Lindquist and Neil Orfield. So we'll talk a little bit about them. They don't have an NBA contest posted tonight because, of course, they've got the Island football game. Sunday Night Football posted $15,000 contest. Island Boy. Yes, there we go. There we go. And then they've got some versus the house contests if you want to dabble in a little NHL or NBA, as well as NFL. That's their live sports betting version. Build out player cards with 2, 3, 4, or 5 props on them, and then you play against the house. Those are dynamic. They're regular contests, not dynamic props. Those are like their salaries. Other sites don't change their salaries when news happens, so they don't change those prop lines. You build out your cards, 10 questions, put them in descending order of confidence intervals, and every question you get right, those are the points you get that go into the contest for you going against other gamers. Coming through the link below us here, and you can get a $50 deposit match with your first deposit. All right, Matt, we're going to just march right into the slate here because we've got some pending news. We've got breaking news. We got all sorts of stuff going on, and there probably will be some shenanigans because 4 of the 5 games are tipping off in 55 minutes. So I'm going to kick you off here with the Memphis Grizzlies -3 going against the New York Knicks. And of course, I did my sheet here right as the injury reports were coming out. So let me make sure I've got any updates here. So I know Bane is out with the toe. Xavier Tillman is still questionable, non-COVID illness. For the Santi Aldama will be playing. For the Knicks, Cam Reddish is back after returning. Returning after missing 3 games with a groin issue. Derrick Rose back after missing 2 games with a sore toe. We're still waiting to hear about Jalen Brunson. He has a bruised quad. And I think that covers this game. Memphis, only 3-point favorites, even though this one's in New York. What do you want to do with our first game here? 227 over under. That is the highest of the night. Yeah,
the Knicks have been a sneaky good fantasy team this year. They're playing much faster. They're not playing the same caliber of defense that you expect from a Tom Thibodeau team. So definitely a solid game here. I'll start with the Memphis side. The Xavier Tillman injury is pretty irrelevant. I think we know kind of who we want to target here, whether he's in, whether he's out. Steven Adams, to me, is somebody that is jumping off the page a little bit. He's been a pretty steady fantasy producer of late. He's got at least 32 3/4 points now in 2 of his past 3 games. He's upped his fantasy production to 1.07 DraftKings points per minute over the past month. So he's looking like the best value on the team for me. You can get to some Jaren Jackson Jr., I think, even though the minutes are still staying pretty steady. Like he hasn't really seen the spike that maybe you were hoping for. He has just been so good this season on a per minute basis, 1.52 DraftKings points per minute. He should continue to really fill it up whenever he's out there with Bane sidelined, I think. Ja is fine. He's a lower priority stud for me on today's slate, but I certainly wouldn't fight you if you wanted to play him. John Concher has been decent at 5,600. He's somebody that you can potentially look to, but Steven Adams really for me is the only guy that I think is going to be a decent part of my player pool tonight.
update. Jalen Brunson is starting. That news dropped about 4 minutes ago. So we do have that. Sorry. Again, the things are moving here, trying to write them all down. I try to do my nice little run sheets, capture our super chats here. We'll get to that from Fresno. From Fresno. Are you really from Fresno? Sean Blackstone used to be the cruising spot of the Central Valley, nay, the San Joaquin Valley. Yes, I have been to Fresno countless times. All right. Kind of a whole lot of Mia from Memphis here, even though they're slightly thinned out. Where do you rank Ja against, considering his 20-ish% discount against Doncic and Antetokounmpo, who are playing in the featured game at 8 o'clock? They're going to kind of be our bellwethers. They're both over $12,000 on their respective fantasy sites, so they're appropriately priced for this size of a player pool. It's going to be a decision point. We really have to stretch to get both of them in the same lineup. I don't think that's an appropriate way to go, but we'll use them as our measuring sticks here. How do you like Ja going against them?
I think Ja has the better per dollar outlook. I would say that Doncic and Giannis are probably overpriced, even on a slate of this size. It's hard to click them at over 12K. I mean, Giannis hasn't paid off this kind of salary dating back for nearly a month at this point. And Doncic, while we know what he's capable of, he's also kind of coming off of a couple of subpar games in a row. Subpar for his standard. So I think Ja does have a slight edge from a pure dollar standpoint, but clearly, like those top two guys, they have 80 in their range of outcomes. And I don't necessarily think that Ja has that. So I'm prioritizing the other guys, the two more expensive guys, just because I think they provide a little bit more ceiling. But like if I was building a cash game team, for example, and I was choosing between those three, I would take Ja.
All right, let's move this on over to the Knickerbockers. Good news there for Brunson being in. Of course, things are now crowded with Reddish returning. That's probably going to move. Well, who knows what that's going to do with Grimes. I assume Reddish still supersedes him. That probably means RJ Barrett gets a few less minutes. Derrick Rose and his toe. We'll have to see how much he plays and mucks things up. Congratulations, Tibbs. You have a full hand here. You can mix and match to your heart's content.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, Jalen Brunson has been playing incredibly well, really all season, but particularly of late. He's got at least 45 now in back-to-back games. I think he's underpriced at 7,300. I think that he is a really solid option against the Grizzlies here. After him, it gets pretty tough. I think Reddish is fine at 4K if you need a value play. He was kind of playing, 30 plus minutes before he got injured. Doesn't have the greatest ceiling. He's not a particularly good per minute player, but any player who has the upside to see 30 minutes, I think is fine at 4K. Emmanuel quickly was somebody I was looking forward to playing. I don't know if I can do it anymore now that the team is getting healthier. Derrick Rose, fine at 3,200. You can probably play him at such a cheap price tag. I don't think he sees more than like 15 minutes or so today, but he's probably the type of guy that can get us over a fantasy point per minute. So if you were doing some stars and scrubs types builds, I think Derrick Rose would be usable in that scenario. But for me, this team really is Cam Reddish a little bit, but Jalen Brunson.
Right. Anything else you want to suss out here for the Knicks, or they're all neutral to below neutral?
Yeah, I would say after that. I mean, RJ Barrett is somebody that the minutes have really been there for. He is starting to play a little bit better, but I can't play him today. I don't know. He doesn't really do enough for me. He's got an optimal lineup rate of around 13% in the boom bust tool. He's checking in with projected ownership of about 17%. So not hugely negative leverage, but it's not a player that I really want to have much exposure to.
All right, let's move on to our next game. A lot of moving parts in this one. We have Philadelphia at Orlando. Orlando is now favored by 1. Previously, they were favored by 2.5, but that's fallen a little bit. They will be without Chuma Okeke. Obviously, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz are still out. New to the out list, Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter Jr. Gary Harris will be starting tonight. Kevin Harris is available, and Terrence Ross, University of Washington, Go Huskies, also available. On the Philly side, we are without Embiid, Maxey, Harden, and Thibault. Let's see if they added anybody else to the list. Nope, that looks to be about it. Just the 3 best players and 3 all-stars of their team. Nothing to see here. So can Maxey and Milton, can Milton and Melton continue to do what they do so well at an elevated salary?
So I think Melton, D'Anthony, that is. I know that when I say Melton and Milton, sometimes it can
sounds
get lost.
The same.
So I'm gonna say D'Anthony. D'Anthony has reached the point where he might be a smidge too expensive for me. It's not that I don't think he can pay off this price tag, but I think we're reaching a point where the upside really isn't there anymore. Like, he now needs to get to 40 fantasy points. And while I think he can do that, I don't know if he can get much higher than that. So I'll be passing on him, or I'll be underweight on him, I'd imagine. But Shake, Mr. Milton, I'm still very interested in him at 6,600. I don't think that his salary has risen nearly enough. He's roughly the same caliber of player as D'Anthony this season on a per minute basis, and he's playing more minutes. So I'm definitely excited about using him at 6,600 still. Montrezl Harrell, I think, remains in play for me as well. His minutes have really started to tick up here recently. He played 28 in their last game. And we know from previous experience with Montrezl Harrell that minutes are volatile. He could lose his spot at basically any time. But when he's on the floor, he's going to be productive on a per minute basis. So I think 4,600 is fine for him. Tobias is now 7,700. He's really the one guy. His price has actually come down since their last game. So no problem with using Tobias, Long Island native Tobias Harris. And then if you wanted some value, Furkan Korkmaz, he's 3,100. He's only projected for about 8% ownership today. I think he's acceptable. Oh boy, you're shaking your head. You don't like the Furkan?
Well, at least when you roster him and he does well or poorly, you can be yelling at the TV, Furkan Korkmaz.
But yeah, he's so cheap. He probably gets to like 20 minutes or so. I think he's got a smidge of upside at 3,100. He's not like a priority play or anything like that, but I could see using him again if you needed a value play and you were trying to jam the studs.
All right. Tyler rating me 9 out of 10 on the dad jokes. All right. It's okay. It's solid. Just warming up here. Let's utilize this moment to remind everybody of the amazing deal that we have. We have one more day left on this. It ends tomorrow. It is the thanks deal. That's the promo code because Stokastic is saying thanks to all of you. We're giving away a full week of all access, all everything Stokastic Premium for just $5. That's promo code thanks at checkout. You get everything for $5. All the FanDuel stuff to your heart's content. No house advantage. Oh, wait, that's free. You get all the DK stuff, the Yahoo stuff for all the sports. It's a lot of fun. Soccer World Cup going on right now. Very, very helpful for that. We have some amazing NHL content. And of course, we have college basketball and college football. There will be the conference championships next week for college football. I've been doing very nicely in college basketball. Once again, Matt Kajeski does an excellent job of those projections. All right, moving over to the Orlando side here. This is not a lot of fun with Orlando. It's a big guessing game these days. Though it's helpful that a lot of them are out. We did get Mo Wagner is back. Franz
Just
Wagner
what they needed. Another center.
Just his 15 minutes because they don't. Well, I mean, I guess it works with the Carter and Okeke out. But of course, Paulo Banchero can kind of be there. Bol can kind of be there. Bomba's in the mix. What do you want to do with these guys? We need to play some of them.
Yes,
they have upside. Which one of the whack-a-moles do you think we're going to get a potential 35 or 40 fantasy point game from? Because that literally could be Banchero, Bol, Franz Wagner, and long shot for Mo Bamba, but not having to deal with Embiid, and he's going to be going against the likes of Montrezl Harrell and whomever else is getting center minutes, Paul Reed, etc. there for Philly. It does make sense that we can look to him, but I don't trust any of them, but I suspect one of them will be in the winning lineup tonight.
Yeah, so for me, Franz Wagner is the clear answer if I'm only playing one. You look at this starting lineup, right? It's Banchero, it's Bol, it's Gary Harris, it's Mo Bamba, and it's Wagner. I think he is going to have to be the clear distributor of that group. They're essentially playing with no point guards, so Banchero can do a little bit of distributing, but I think that Wagner is the guy who really is asked to sort of handle most of those responsibilities. He's averaged 1.1 DraftKings points per minute with Anthony, Suggs, and Wendell Carter Jr. off the floor this season. He should get to, 35 minutes if this game is competitive. And, with a 1-point spread, you would hope that this game is competitive. So I really like him tonight. I think he is a very strong option at just 6,900. I think Banchero is fine too at 8K, but I don't see nearly the same upside as I do with Wagner. I think Wagner is live for like a double, maybe even a triple double on this slate. So he's my favorite. Mo Bamba, definitely still usable at 6,100. I prefer him to Bol, who is $1,100 more expensive. I just think that, he has less to do to pay off to hit a ceiling. Gary Harris, I can't get there with him, unfortunately. I want to. He's a starter. He's probably going to play close to 30 minutes. He's less than 4K, but he just doesn't have enough per minute upside. I don't think he gets a huge bump as a distributor. Like, it's hard to make a case for him. I think the more interesting, if you wanted to play a guard, would be somebody like Terrence Ross, right? Because we at least know that he has the capability to come off the bench and get hot. I'm not expecting that to happen, but it's at least within the range of outcomes for him, while Gary Harris is kind of just going to be out there doing, cardiovascular exercise for 30 minutes or so.
Hey, he's going to run through some screens. He's going to set some back picks. He's going to pass the ball quickly when they're trying to reverse it back around the defense. He'll be touching the ball. They have a good seat too, or a good view of the action.
Great view. Great view.
All right. We've got the Washington Wizard news that we were kind of waiting for. So that will be our next game that we discuss. I do want to loop back. Xavier Tillman is available tonight. He has played in just one of the last 8 games. He's missed the last couple with an illness. Doesn't really impact that much for Memphis, but it is worth noting that he is there. On to the Wizards. So we got the news that Monte Morris will be starting. Kyle Kuzma is out, the sore back. Rui Hachimura out with an ankle. And then Johnny Davis out yet again. I think Davis has missed a couple games here. Hachimura, this will be his 4th game. Monte Morris is back after missing 3 games. And then, oh, by the way, Jason Tatum out tonight. Kind of probably a little rest scenario because they are playing tomorrow. A lot of these teams that we're talking about tonight are playing tomorrow as well. Washington is one of them. Boston is. Philadelphia is. Orlando is. I don't believe Memphis is, or New York. So there we go. This opens up some interesting stuff here for Washington. They're the visiting squad here. Jaylen Brown, probably the best point per dollar play on the slate going against the Wizards. The Wizards no longer the defensive sieve that they were once upon a time. Coach Wes Unseld Jr. has done a pretty good job of getting them around to league average. Dramatic improvement from being bottom 3 for multiple years while playing at a frenetic pace. So we can't quite pick on him but they're not lockdown defenders by any stretch here. What do you want to do with the Wizards? I mean, rebounding, there's going to be more out there for Kristaps Porzingis for sure. There's going to be some field goal attempts to go to him, to go to Bradley Beal. What would you like to do here? Can Denny Avdija continue to be good?
He's definitely going to lose some value now that Monty Morris is back. I don't think he's going to need to serve as sort of a secondary playmaker, but I think the Wizards on the whole are a pretty strong team to target now, right? I mean, we're talking about a few key pieces removed from their rotation. It's not like they're exactly brimming with talent to begin with. This is a team that has kind of been struggling to find just 5 consistent starters for most of the year. So, you take Kyle Kuzma out of the equation, you take Rui Hachimura out of the equation, there's a lot of minutes available. I think that Porzingis for sure is somebody that I want to get to tonight. I like his upside at 8,300 against Boston, who, while they have scored the ball at an elite rate, basically rewriting the record book for offensive efficiency, they're still kind of missing a big man, right? They're still without Robert Williams. Their defensive numbers have not been the same as they were last year when he was available. So I think it's a good spot for Porzingis to have a big game. Bradley Beal should see a usage bump. He's not as appealing as Porzingis, but for sure you can use him too. I'll still have some Denny just because his price has not really been updated to reflect some of this increased upside we've seen from him. And even if he loses some to Monty Morris, he'll gain that, you would think, with Kuzma being out of the lineup. Corey Kispert, I think, plays 30 minutes. Whether or not he does anything with those minutes, we'll see. Probably not, if I had to venture a guess. But that's kind of where I'm looking at with Washington. Monty Morris hasn't really been, Will Barton hasn't really been a huge part of the rotation recently. He played just 16 minutes in their last game. I think that's about it. You really just whoever starts for them is going to be the guys that you're going to want to target.
Yeah, chat. Not thrilled with your assessment that Denny could lose some value here. Here's my take on Avdija. I think he's a good player. I enjoy watching him on the Wizards. It's a nice addition. The challenges with him, he fouls too much, which really has an impact on his potential playing time. It's nice that he's starting when he is more of the primary facilitator. He's not a true point guard by any stretch, but he and Beal can run the offense when Monte Morris isn't out there. He gets more opportunities for points. Otherwise, we're really down to him he's a decent rebounder for a backcourt player / small forward, small forward, but he doesn't shoot. When he shoots, he usually takes good shots, but he doesn't shoot. You're lucky if you get to double-digit field goal attempts. So with this slightly increasing salary and a few other things going against him, he's kind of a neutral play. And this is something he's only exhibited in the last 8 games. Mm-hmm. Before he was kind of a mirage. It's like an oasis. It's like, oh, there he is, and then he disappears for a week at a time. And that I think is the better story with Avdija. I think he's very helpful as a small forward option, small forward, power forward on DK, small forward on Yahoo. I'm playing in my Yahoo lineup. He's $16 over there, fits in nicely, only because Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guard only. But it doesn't feel great because we can see him cap out at 20 fantasy points in 22 minutes if he gets in foul trouble. That's the risk. A lot of guards that are faster than him on the court tonight.
Yeah, and again, I think that Kuzma being out keeps Denny afloat for at least one more slate. But when he's back and Monty Morris is back, that's when I'm really going to be concerned about paying $4,800 for him. I think he's fine, right? I mean, he's grading out as one of the better options on the Wizards, but we haven't projected for a 14% optimal rate at the moment. I'm imagining that'll go up now that Kuzma's been ruled out, but he's not going to become a smash play all of a sudden.
All right. Anything else you want to call out from the Wizards? Any highlights there for Porzingis or Beal?
No, just Porzingis again. He hasn't played well of late, but we know that this guy has 50 plus in his arsenal, and I think that this is a good spot for him to get to it.
All right. Speaking of good spots to get to something, this is the super chat from Fresno. He says, Big Saxy. I'm assuming he's talking about you, Mr. LaMarca. Who's your number one on DK? Could it be Jaylen Brown? Could it be Luka Doncic? Could it be Antetokounmpo? But here we are. Jaylen Brown, no Jason Tatum, goes up over the last year when Tatum was off the court from about 1.04 fantasy points to 1.23 fantasy points, almost a 20% increase. Pretty solid there. He's going to be wildly popular tonight. Is he your number one player? How would you like to answer that question from Fresno?
He's my favorite play on the slate. Yeah. I don't think it's really that close. He is going to be popular, but at least according to the boom bust tool at the moment, he's not expected to be popular enough, right? He's got a higher optimal rate than he does ownership percentage. I still think some people will see, Luka and Giannis, and they're going to gravitate towards those players, but Jaylen Brown is just such a better option at really like 2/3 of the price tag. So you mentioned it, the numbers without Jason Tatum, for the most part, are spectacular. He's increased his usage rate by almost 5%, his assist rate by about 7% with Tatum off the floor last season. So I think it's a spot for him to just to really feast. Washington is a better defensive team than you realize. Have moved into like the top 10 in defensive efficiency, but with this Boston team being so good on the offensive end, I'm not overly concerned about that.
Right. Chat saying Peyton Pritchard night.
Is it?
I don't know. I'd rather go with Smart, though he's been slightly disappointing this year. I'd rather go with Brogdon. I think he's well suited for the 6-man role, but that doesn't always help his fantasy prospects. Derek White, reasonable option, but for me, can I clone Jaylen Brown and just put him in 2 spots?
Yeah, I struggle to see why Jason Tatum being out would help him, right? The biggest issue for Pritchard is not his ability, it's his playing time, right? He struggles to get onto the court, and I don't know why Tatum being out would necessarily help them in that regard, right? He's a point guard, a small guard, and Tatum is playing as like a power forward. So I think that Grant Williams is a bigger beneficiary. I think Sam Hauser is a bigger beneficiary. And Pritchard is kind of going to still be stuck behind the same guys he's been stuck behind all season: Brogdon, Smart, and Derek White.
All right. Ben Anthony, $4.99 super chat, would like to know, is Derrick Rose on this slate decent, or is there better values? What do you think Derrick Rose's minutes are going to be? I'm going to say 17.5. I'm going to go look and see what we have him projected for.
Yeah, I have him projected for about 15. Okay. He's 3,200. I would rather play Korkmaz at 3,100. Let's see who else. I would rather play Sam Hauser at 3,300.
We have him for 11.4. So you and I are I'm very benevolent with the minutes tonight.
So yeah, for me, I have Hauser and Korkmaz both projected a little bit better. I think Rose is okay if you want to play him. Like, if you want to play him, go ahead, stick him in there. But he's going to play roughly 15 minutes. You're going to need him to be really spectacular when he's on the floor.
Yeah, and this is not a making fun of the personnel. No stone unturned here, right? There's a couple good value spots, and then there's a lot of question marks because people are healthy and everybody's kind of got their defined roles. There's some uncertainty in what's going to happen in New York. There's, if Rose wasn't coming off an injury, there's always the chance he could, even coming off the injury, he's just perpetually questionable at this point of his career. He always has the ability to play 26 minutes and close out the fourth quarter if Tibbs is happy with how he's performing, right? We've seen this over multiple teams with Derrick Rose. So nothing wrong with that. Just feels like a bit of a stretch tonight. Upside
I will
is
also
probably
say too that when we have seen that from Rose, it was pre Jalen Brunson, and I think it will be hard for those two players to share the court together.
All right, my filler arc says utility spot, 6K left. He has Hayes. Killian Hayes or Steven Adams. He already has Diallo.
So I have a weakness, EMac. I have many weaknesses actually, but one of my biggest is a young point guard by the name of Killian Hayes, who represents the country of France. I've been a guy. I've been a believer in Killian Hayes since he entered this league. And now that he is finally starting to put things together, there's no way that I'm not playing him or choosing him in that head-to-head scenario. So for me, it's Killian Hayes. I have Killian Hayes projected as one of the best values on the slate. We'll talk about that game a little bit more in a bit, but with no Cade Cunningham, with no Jaden Ivey, his role is locked in, and he has shown the ability to contribute in basically every category across the board.
Yeah. He is in my point guard spot on Yahoo, where he is $15. They're asking, is Tobias Harris a good play? I like him on Yahoo at 28. Then I got a couple Cleveland players here. You want to talk a little Cleveland?
Yeah, let's talk some Cle. So they have, they're another team, tons of minutes available, right? Jared Allen is out. Lamar Stevens, who's been starting for them, is out. Their two best bench players, Karis LeVert and Kevin Love, are out. So particularly in the front court, they are thin at the moment. I think Evan Mobley plays more center than he normally does. That allows Dean Wade to pick up a good handful of minutes. Not even a handful, like I think 34, 35 minutes. He played 36 in their last game. So as far as value plays goes, he's the best per dollar value on the slate. He's 3,800. It's just hard to find a guy who's going to play that much at such a cheap price tag. He's not the best per minute guy out there, but a matchup versus Detroit will certainly help. They are like the worst team in the league in defensive efficiency. So I think Chetty Osman gets a bump. You know, he's been playing well for them recently. He's going to have to do some facilitating with that second unit. I think you can play Mitchell and Garland. Both guys, again, like we might see them split up a little bit more, kind of each getting to run the show a little bit more than they usually do. So Cleveland, I think, is a really strong team to target here. I would prioritize it Wade 1, Osman 2, Garland 3, and Mitchell 4, but all four of those guys, and Evan Mobley, throw him in there too.
You're missing someone.
Don't say Robin Lopez.
$10 on Yahoo. He makes it all come together at my center spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine, I guess. He's going to play 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. That's around what he did in his last game against the Bucks. He didn't do anything in his playing time. He's fine. I mean, there's no ceiling there at all.
So you're saying I should take him out?
If he's making your lineup come together, you can use
I can downgrade from Doncic to Giannis, and that'll give me $12. I can probably find a better $12 center.
All right.
Brandon Clark, Daniel Gafford.
BC.
You go a little. I could put a little Gafford in there, double digits, fantasy points.
Oh, EMac, Montrez, baby.
You think Montrez?
Oh yeah.
All right, there we go. And then Giannis or I got to go back to Doncic now. That works. There we go.
Yes, right. He's min. So I think Trez for sure is the best cheap center.
All right. So there we go. Back to Doncic. From Fresno. Here's a fun story. My mom actually graduated from Fresno State, the Bulldogs. The Lopez twins' grandfather was my mom's driver's ed teacher.
Was he humongous?
No, he was reasonably tall. It was their mother. She wasn't overly tall either. It was her dad. But my mom said that they did have to take out the front seats when they were teaching the grandkid was what she calls them, how to drive, because their legs were so damn long.
That's hilarious. So they were driving from the back seat.
All right. Pluto Jace, $2 super chat says, what do you think of Melton over there at 6,200? on FanDuel.
Melton or Milton?
Melton, D'Anthony. I thought I said Melton and Milton differently. Milton. No, we're gonna go with D'Anthony.
I thought you said Melton, but he's not 6,200.
So does he mean Milton?
No,
he's typed out Melton.
Milton's not 6,200 either. So
my brain is Melton. Tyler, what do we? That was a 10 out of 10 right there. A 4. The Texas judge, Tyler. Not very friendly tonight.
If the question is Melton or Milton, I don't know what the question is, I guess, right? Like, resend your question.
They're saying in chat that he has 662. Let me call this up. On FanDuel, FD, the blue site.
In what contest?
Melton, no, he's 7,900. And Shake Milton is 7. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So I don't know either. If you can find either Melton or Milton at 6,200, I would play them. And so, like, that's a good price tag for either of those guys.
Just checking to see. Milton is 66. Yeah, I don't know. Send in another super chat. Well, or I just typed Pluto chat. Oh, he says check again. I wonder, did they price their slates differently on FanDuel today? That was the main. Let's go to their all day. And let's go to Melton. Nope, I'm not seeing it. I don't feel bad. Sorry, lo siento.
I checked both slates. It's the same price on both slates. What is happening?
Single game slate? No. All right. They broke us. They broke the show. That's it. We're going to log off now. It's nice. It was a fun run. All right, back to reality here. Pistons, Saddiq Bey. What do you got for Saddiq Bey?
Yeah, Saddiq Bey's fine. He's going to
one last thing. Marvin Bagley, does he have a last minute back issue or something that keeps him out? He's been too dependable recently.
Another player that I have a weakness for. He was just a double machine in Sacramento, and anytime he was playing, I wanted some exposure. I think Marvin Bagley is fine at the moment. I hope, knock on wood. And he's playable, by the way. He's averaging about just under a fantasy point per minute at 4,800. So that's good. But Saddiq Bey, I think, gets a nice little spike in usage here when you consider that the team doesn't have Jaden Ivey, doesn't have Bojan Bogdanovic, doesn't have Isaiah Stewart, obviously still does not have Cade Cunningham. Like, they don't have a lot of guys who are going to be able to score the ball, and he is at least somewhat capable as a scorer. So I think Bey is a really nice play at 4,900. I already expressed my love for Killian Hayes at 5,600. I think you can play Bagley. I think you can play Alec Burks. If you need some scoring, there's a guy who can score for you. He had a 43% usage rate in his last game. Not over a ton of minutes, but he has the potential to fill it up quickly. So I like him. And same thing goes for Hamidou Diallo, right? Another guy that has kind of been okay on a per minute basis when given opportunities in the past. So this is not like a game that stands out, right? It's got only a 218 point total, but I think the Pistons are a strong team here.
All right. Melton actually is 6,200 on Monday's slate. FanDuel, of course, in fine fashion, has posted that, set that as the default, ignoring the 6 o'clock slate that they have. If you guys want to jump in, the $40,000 777 on FanDuel, it's about to fill. They've just posted a secondary version of that. They also have a couple other lineup or contests up as well. All right.
Well, glad we got to the bottom of that.
We did. That was good. That was Pluto Chase. That's not your fault. FanDuel, like, they like to just whatever the next main slate is, ignore everything else. And you guys can find a lot of overlay there, and especially in their ticket contests.
So Melton is dropping. He's 7,600 today, and he's going to be 6,200 tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Free play of the day. DeAnthony Melton, 6,200 for Monday's slate.
Nine gamer on Monday.
Don't care.
Don't care. All right. Let's go. I'm gonna check my Yahoo line. Can I get a little Brandon Ayuk or Travis Kelce love? I'm having a nice little day over there on Yahoo, but I need those guys to carry the weight. Come on, fellas. One more touchdown. Anything else from our first 4 games that you would like to call out? We got 18 minutes to walk here because we got dessert coming. And oh, is it a doozy?
It is going to be a fun game. Circling back on Washington now that some of the projections have started to get updated. Will Barton, 3,400. He's not somebody that you ever feel good about playing, but he could be a decent value now with all of their absences. So Barton, Avdia, Kristaps, like those, I think those are your top 3 guys for Washington. But yeah, other than that, I think we're pretty good on the first 4 games.
All right, let's get to the final one. You've got Bullock out for rest. This is Dallas heading into Milwaukee. It's about a 6.5 point underdogs on the road here. Chris Middleton still out. Serge Ibaka is out. Pat Connaughton is in for the Bucks. He missed the last game with a non-COVID related illness. The 215.5 over under here. Parse it out between. Do you have to go with Giannis on Yahoo and FanDuel for the 3 points, blocks, and steals? Does that give him the edge over Doncic?
So I'm going to say no. And the big reason why is that it's just such a pace down spot for Milwaukee, while every spot is a pace up spot for Dallas. Like they just play so slow that I really don't like using players against them for the most part. So I give the edge to Doncic because he's putting up his numbers in games that are always slow. You know, with Giannis, we kind of have to adjust him down a little bit. So I give Luka the edge. I mean, Giannis is capable of doing some ridiculous stat lines, right? Luka isn't quite the same in some of those peripheral categories, but Luka's just playing too good right now. And I think that the matchup is a slight upgrade for him while it's a downgrade for Giannis.
Right. Well, Luka leads the league in points. He's 3rd in usage. I think it's Giannis and Embiid that are ahead of him. He leads his team in rebounds, assists, steals, pretty much everything else. It's a pretty good season for him thus far.
Not bad. He's not bad. He might have a future in this league.
We have him for a 1/10 of a point more on DraftKings, and then it reverses. It's almost basically a statistical tie on FanDuel. They're the only 2 players over 12,000, deservedly so. Do you want to pinch your lineups and try to put 2 of them in, or both of them in?
No,
not worth it.
No, it's too much to try to get them both in. I mean, we do have a few interesting value plays now that we've talked about, but like the scenario for that lineup paying off is you need both of those guys.
Jaylen Brown dying on the vine.
right. Exactly. Right. you need both of those guys to get to 80. And I just don't think that that's happening. So, I mean, hot take, right? I don't think that 2 guys are going to combine for 160 fantasy points tonight.
If they were playing in the San Antonio Lakers game last night, there's a chance.
That for sure. Yeah.
What are the secondary options? Because they're all tertiary options for Dallas here.
So
and I see someone was asking in chat. They said, is Milwaukee still bad against 3-pointers? Milwaukee's not bad against 3-pointers. They'd rather pack the paint and encourage people to take the 3-pointers. doesn't mean they're bad at it. It's just they facilitate more of the wing shots. They don't like them from the corners, but they'll kind of give you from the 2/3 and around the top of the arc, where the standard NBA player, depending on who it is, but on average, they don't make them nearly as well as they do the corner threes. And then they'd also rather have them doing that than driving the paint. So, but it's a good question. The easier way is, we want to take people who shoot those types of threes around the top of the arc against them. It's favorable because they get about an extra half
They're not
step.
Nearly as bad in that area as they were like when they lost that series to Miami a few years ago. Like that was just a barrage of 3-pointers. So they've changed their philosophy a little bit since then. They're still a team you can beat from the outside, but not nearly like where you want to just be loading up 3-point shooters against them. That said, Tim Hardaway Jr. is somebody that I like tonight.
$10 on Yahoo. I'm just saying.
He should get a nice bump in minutes with Reggie Bullock sidelined. He has not had a super consistent role this year, but we know what Tim Hardaway Jr. is, right? He's out there. He's going to knock down some 3-pointers. He's going to get us, around 0.8 fantasy points per minute or so. And if he plays 30 minutes, that's good value at 4K. That's really it, though, for me on Dallas. I don't love anybody else at their current salary. Maybe you could talk yourself into using Maxi Kleber at 3,100. Kleber did see a nice 29 minutes in his last game, but the game before he played less than 10. So, kind of a little bit of a roll of the dice if you want to trust the minutes from last game, but 3,100, you can't really go wrong playing a guy at that price tag. Like there's not, so he can only burn you so much. Right. But I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is like easily the best of their other players.
All right, let's hit on Milwaukee. Common refrain, Drew Holiday looking rather discounted tonight. He's 7,000 even on DK there. He's going to come into a fair number of lineups. Giannis is really, it looks like, the only other player I'm getting in my initial crunches here. And we will circle back. I'm not contractually obligated to not talk about Kevin Knox. And I just did my first crunch and he's coming up unencumbered on 40% of them. So clearly we'll be talking about Kevin Knox here in one moment. But let's go through the Bucks here first.
Yeah, so it's a really this is a top heavy team, right? You've got Drew who's checking in with 21% projected ownership on DraftKings. Giannis is around 12%. And then nobody else is above 3. So people are playing Drew, they're going to play Giannis, and they're not going to play anybody else. And I think that's kind of how I'm approaching this team as well. Drew Holiday, definitely their best option on a per dollar basis tonight. Even with him projected for 21% ownership, he's still checking in as one of the most positively leveraged players in the boom bust tool. I think that this is a nice opportunity to sort of buy low on him. And again, with Giannis, it's not that I don't like Giannis. I just slightly prefer Luka. We know that Giannis is capable of putting up a humongous game. I will probably be in line with his 12% projected ownership or right around there. But I think that Luka is the stud to prioritize.
All right. Let's talk about Knox. Discounted as heck. I was thinking he was just another player. We are projecting him for 20 fantasy points, 3,500 available at both both forward spots here on DraftKings. Yikes. I'm getting to a lot more than I expected.
To clarify, Kevin Knox is just another player. Okay. There's nothing.
You're saying I need to cap that. He's coming in at 15%.
I'm just saying in general, Kevin Knox is a jag. I'm not saying he's a bad play on this slate. Okay. He's given us 20 plus fantasy points now in 4 straight games. And clearly there's some opportunities available in Detroit. I don't know if I'd want 40% of him against a good defensive team like Cleveland, but he's somebody that, I think is an okay option at 3,500. I would probably, do you have any Hamadou? Cause he's 34. I would maybe split it between those two guys.
Yeah, that's Yeah, Diallo's and this is where it's a good thing. We have Diallo projected for 2 fantasy points less. That could go either way tonight.
Yeah.
So, and if you put Diallo up to 21, he's going to start coming into lineups more than Knox.
Knicks legend Kevin Knox, the future of the New York Knickerbockers.
I am now not building another single lineup with Knox. I'm taking him out. He will be in 20 of my 100 lineups. That's enough. Enough is enough. Reminder, we are sponsored by No House Advantage. You guys can tune in tonight for NBA Live Before Lock, NFL Live Before Lock, and they will be breaking down all things Sunday Night Football and featuring No House Advantage. So definitely give that a look-see here. If you sign up through the link below us in the YouTube description, you will get a $50 deposit match. Also a bonus there. Robin Lopez starting. Does that move the needle? Why is Rodney McGruder coming into my lineup?
A lot of Detroit coming through tonight, EMac.
It's because they're so cheap. And this is the risk of using an optimizer. It's going to find you the best point per dollar plays. They may not be the ones you want to put your hard-earned dollars behind. Just
Stephen Leibovitz, by the way, with a fantastic comment. He says Hamadou was an Olivia Newton-John movie, right? I think that's Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Not the, but well done. That's well done.
Good. That was savvy. That was savvy. Drew Holiday coming in a lot of my lineups. I'm okay with that. Not getting much Brunson. A smattering of Mobley. We don't seem to like Mobley on DK today. 7,500. I'm getting a fair amount of Milton, even at today's price. I'm not getting any. I'm getting 5% Melton at today's price.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't need the salary savings, right? Melton is probably a slightly better just in terms of raw fantasy points. But what's your
34? I'm sorry, 46% Will Barton feels a little high.
I want to know what your exposure is to my guy. Well, not really. Another one of my guys. I got a lot of guys, EMac, just in case you were curious. Franz Wagner, how much Franz do you have?
I don't know that I have any. Let me go look here. Then I got to upload these. Franz Wagner, I have 0. 9. That means none in German.
It's aggressive. That's an aggressive.
Pluto Jace. He's ready, or Pluto JC. He's ready for a question for today's slate. Garland and Giannis or Luka and Porzingis FanDuel. I'm going with the latter.
I'm sorry. One more time, the combination.
Garland and Giannis.
Okay.
Or Luka and Porzingis. Former teammates.
Definitely the latter. Definitely the latter. I think the Porzingis part is really what puts me over the top. I like Porzingis more than I like Garland.
All right. Making that. I guess I'll make 120 lineups. Let's upload these before I get carried away. I'm assuming you're all uploaded and good to go.
I'm ready, baby.
Playing on multiple sites.
Just DraftKings tonight. Hence the FanDuel fiasco.
What's the FanDuel fiasco?
Well, the Milton.
Well, and they started their slate an hour early. And the other reason, guys, part of the reason we didn't go early for that is, one, that everybody's going to be bitching about DK. 2, we're not going to have all the news. 3, we're not going to do a 2-hour show against all of 4 afternoon NFL games. You can tell by our currently watching. What do we have? 850. Normally, when we're an hour later than this, we get up closer to 2,000 on Sundays. So if we were going 2 hours before, we'd have 500 people tops. So you've got to keep the sponsors happy. Final thoughts as I scramble to upload here.
My final thoughts are: I need the Chiefs to win by at least 10 points to get the final leg of the teaser that I built in the door.
Are you hedging out at all?
No. I mean, against Bryce Perkins, if the Chiefs can't win by 10, I'm okay with losing. But I built this teaser when I thought that Nathan Peterman was going to be starting for Chicago.
That was such a competitive advantage that they had by changing their minds.
Yeah, they hit us with the old switcheroo. But yeah, I teased them, the Dolphins, and the Chiefs. And I never do teasers, but I just felt like with the quarterbacks that those three teams were facing, this was an exception. So Kansas City, it's all on you. Bring it home to Papa.
I have a lot of Malcolm Brogdon. Just putting that out there.
That's fine. I have a bunch of those Celtic guards. I mean, Marcus Smart, I think, is my favorite of the Celtics guards, but Brogdon's fine at 5,100.
Any love for Robin Lopez? I think he plays 16 and a half minutes tonight, even starting.
Yeah, I'm out on.
He could get a double in that, but that's all he's going to play.
No interest in Robin Lopez.
Let's see here. Tobias and Gary Harris. No. Take
the Harris
Sadiq Bey and Drew.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey and Drew.
Want to get in on all things Stokastic for a whole week for just $5? Use the promo code THANKS. Get everything. Keys to the Kingdom for $5. Want to get $200 for just $10? Sign up through the link below us here in the video for BetMGM. All you got to do is put a $10 bet on a World Cup money line. Has to be a pre-game bet. And if any team scores a goal in the World Cup, which they already have, you're going to get $200 in free bets when that settles. Plus whatever you get for your money line bet. That's called their no-brainer. It's a nice way to get in the door and have $200 to play with, potentially more if you get your money line wager correct. So go check that out, BetMGM. And then, of course, in an hour and 15 minutes, we will be going live with NFL Live Before Lock, sponsored by No House Advantage. So check that out. You'll get Eric Lindquist and Neil Rich Guy Orfield. Good times. Good times. You going to get a big win tonight, Matt?
I'm going to try. That's all we can do, right?
That's all we can do. That's all we can do. All right. Hit that like button. Hadn't asked for that yet tonight. Let's go see what did we have for likes. We got 113 and there's 750 still watching. Come on, hit that on the way out the door. Just because I'm me, I will drop 10 $1 DK head-to-head lineups into the Sunday Night Football lobby. Username EMac. Team Free Money is back. I believe I got swept the last time I did this. So there's your incentive.
Give them hell, chat. Go get them.
You want to know who I'm probably going to play? Go check out my free article on the homepage here at Stokastic.com, where I rank every single player in the player pool. Pretty good. Didn't put the backup quarterbacks in there tonight.
Number one player, Jalen Hurts.
Hurts so good is the comment he gets when he is number one. Yes, he is number one. But this will be an interesting game here. It'll be an interesting game. All right. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Caleb McLean, you beat me, jerk. How am I doing? Not so good. Thanks for asking.
You a-hole.
All right, I'm going to go get dinner because it's almost dinner time. With that, gamers, you can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt LaMarca. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.